You thought your React application is secure? Think again. My name is Liran Tal and I want to show you today a few gaps that you should know about when you do React coding. So, why are we here today? I know what you're thinking right now. Like, this is the year 2021. Is this going to be another talk about XSS? Like, what do you want from me? What do you want from my life right now with XSS in React? Because I thought we got over it by now. Well, that's where I'm gonna say hello XSS, my old friend. And I'm gonna show you a couple of examples that I was just going over Twitter, just to find some coding examples of people showcasing some of their code stuff on React and what are they actually doing there. So here's one example, right? This is XSS. This is, this year. What's going on? Let's see. Looks like someone is trying to build a counter, but it's something's messy over there. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because when I zoom in a bit inside, I see the whole fancy use effect kind of stuff. Is it fancy still? I don't know. It's already like a few versions into React. But anyway, you can see that there's a count variable that's coming maybe from the outside. We are putting it in. We have no idea what's in it. Is it sanitized? Is it not? Should we output and code it? What does it even mean to output and code things? We'll learn about it in a second. But as you're seeing, there's a mix here of React APIs and the DOM APIs like inner HTML, which is not a really secure way of doing things. And this mix actually causes cross-site scripting attacks or vulnerabilities like in this application. Let's look at another example. I've also seen this case on Twitter, which is, also this year, not so long ago. So this person was trying to avoid the runtime evaluation eval function by basically accepting user input as well and running it, right? Because when you're doing return a plus b and a is an IFE or a function or whatever, it's gonna get run, it's gonna get evaluated. So that doesn't really solve the problem either. So we're having a lot of those different things that if we're not using the right APIs, we're not aware of what are the secure APIs or what are the insecure APIs. I'm not just talking about dangerously inner HTML things. I'm talking about other things as well, and you'll see it in a second. So, introducing myself. My name is Liran Tal. I'm a developer advocate at Sneak, where we help developers build applications securely using open source. So if you're in your IDE writing some JSX code, writing some Node.js code, Java, whatever that is, we'll help you find it. We'll augment your experience of doing that by telling you real time if you are actually having some vulnerabilities and insecure code right there. Well, this is really cool, but I'm doing some other things as well, GitHub star, activist on web security topics. So, Node.js, probably send me active there as well. Doing all of those kind of things, but really, if you just want to reach out and talk about any of this or something else on Twitter, Liran_Tal, and reach out and say hi. So let's get on with this. React is mostly secure by default, right? Like other frameworks like Vue and Angular, most of these get things right on the client side, right? As far as it goes to XSS and maybe some other things when some frameworks take, a bit more bulky and take a step further as well. But why am I saying mostly secure, right? Like what is going on? Why is the one on this stage right now saying mostly secure? What is left for me to protect? Because I thought using React actually protects me from all of this weird XSS stuff happening to my applications. So to realize that, we kind of need to explore something else. So I'm saying React is mostly secure by default. But what does secure by default mean? We need to explore this a little bit, and you need to understand a little bit more of the jargon. And that's where I'm gonna just level up and just say what XSS is, so everyone here can be on the same level playing field. So when you write this code and render it to the DOM, the user input here, like first name, for example, what happens to it? In the general case where this is insecure user input, it could lead to potential vulnerabilities like XSS on the web page. But with React, you're kind of safe. Now, why is that? And so let's see what happens when we actually put something in like a script alert thing or image source or whatever into this JSX code snippet. Well, actually, if you look at the page, you get something like this, which looks like a script or whatever element I would have put there, but it's not. That is because if you look very carefully with your DevTools inspector thing into this specific component, specific element on the page, you would actually see that all of those angle brackets, they're not real angle brackets. They're actually HTML entities that encode and tell the page that it needs to render it needs to render like the angled brackets to the left and to the right, but they're not real angled brackets. So that is why when you put that into the page and as user input, nothing would happen. No script would actually get evaluated, no runtime JavaScript evaluation, because this isn't actual a real HTML element or something around it. And the browser knows this, and this is what I mean when I say React is mostly secure by default. React is mostly secure by default actually means that it knows to encode. So now we have this new jargon telling us what this actually is. This is secure by default if you actually do output encoding by default on any user input. So with that said, with this knowledge, let's move a little bit forward and figure out now if React is secure by default and it does secure output of user input. Why are you saying this is mostly secure by default? What is still left for me to protect, and where are really all the gaps? So let's dive now into some live coding together and see what we can learn about some pitfalls. And so for that, I have this build application website where it's, this Kate Libby was building her package profile for open source maintainers and things like that. So it's kind of like the, a web page with packages on it. So let's dive into something like this and see how it looks like. Well, I need my ID. There we go. Let's make sure everything works. It does. And if it does, I should have, nope. This one here. Okay, cool. So this is the website that I've just built, and looks like it's working pretty cool. Has some elements in it like user input here, sorry, like the name, description or something, link to their Twitter, some more stuff that I can use like testimonial. So there's a lot of user input here that we can use as a baseline of just simulating what could actually go wrong. So let's take a look at this a little bit more. For example, this database has all of the things that I was talking about over here, and this is what we're actually going to use to simulate what could actually go wrong. So I'm going to go and change some of them, for example, just for the sake of things. So I can change this to my name here, and once I do it, you see it auto loads to Liran Tal over here. That's fine, but what happens if I change it to something like image source X on error alert 1? And hopefully that triggers an XSS. It doesn't. This is where React actually helps you and secures things by default. Actually output encodes. This is what we said with the example of the first name. This is why if you try those things and they didn't actually execute, that's fine. That's because that's fine database author name over here is simply something that React knows to now apply output encoding and change all of this into HTML entities. So far so good. Let's bring this back to Kate Libby. And let's change something else. Let's try a link. Okay, let's try a link, which is not just a bit of text. Let's try and change this to well, this is over here. So this is if I there we go. I just hover it. You could see at the browser bottom left. This is going to her Twitter account. So I'm going to change this to, let's try and be kind of malicious here, right? Let's say someone has this free form field and they just build up JavaScript alert, which is like, again, the classic way of maybe introducing some XSS. So if I do this, let the page reload, assuming it does, this is where you need to like go here and maybe click on it. And we see now an XSS, but why? Why is it going on? This is actually pretty weird. Like, why do I have an XSS and alert if I'm actually using React? This is pretty newish version of React as well. Okay, this 17 and above. So what is going on here? Now to understand what is going on there, let's go back here. The Twitter link. The database Twitter link actually gets inserted here. And so what we now understand is, well, React does not apply output encoding and protects you from href values like HTML attributes that go here. And that is something that you should be aware of. So let's try to fix it. And first of all, now you are aware of it and you know that if something is malicious there, we need to fix it. But let's see, there are some pitfalls in how we try to fix those things. So let's look at that as well. I'm gonna go here and we can leave it at that. And just before, around here a bit, we have enough room. And so let's go ahead and try this whole use effector, just like change and sanitize it together. So let's try something like this is Twitter link. They put it over there. Okay, set Twitter link and use state. I'm gonna kick it off with the database. Yes. Okay, cool. Yes, do all that. Use effect, and come on. Yes, auto completed. There we go. And then we want to find if no, not that one. GitHub Copilot. That's insane, right? Twitter link dot index of JavaScript. Like, what do you think about this? Is this a good fix? Let's try it. I like this autocomplete. Go with that one. So basically this says if Twitter link over there on the database that we get as user input has JavaScript in it, it will actually set it to, I don't know, set it to something like this, right? Just a hash, and that's it. Hopefully I didn't forget to close anything. Looks good. I think it looks good. Let's try it. Did it reload? No idea. Let's see. Did not reload. Did reload. I'll reload it. There we go. So, no, we still have it. So this is not yet working. Oh, did I not save this one? Something here I didn't save. Let's try again. Oh, I'll tell you what we didn't do. So now we need to set the Twitter link instead of the database Twitter link, right? This is real life coding, real life debugging. There we go. Forgot to use the new variable. Okay, now is it loading it fast enough? There we go. Now we did load it fast enough, and you can see that on the bottom left. Actually, I can click on it and just nothing happens because it adds just the hashtag there, and that's it. So it looks like we fixed it. Did we fix it? What happens if someone gets a bit, tricky, and maybe they do something like that? They just, do it as a uppercase kind of string. So now if I do it, did it reload? Need to wait it to reload. There you go. So I reloaded it, and now we have the XSS again. So the fix wasn't really that good for us. Let's try something else. Let's say that we want to catch it. So what do you think we should do like that? Should we do a two lowercase and try it like this? Two lowercase. Would it that work? Let's do it like this. And as you can see, this is basically the thought process of a developer. And what would be great is if they had a tool that would help them on the IDE to basically follow the right APIs. Did it get loaded? Let me see. But there we go. So now it did get loaded pretty fast, I think. And looks like we fixed it. Did we? You know it was coming, right? So we fixed the uppercase, we fixed the lowercase, but what else could go in, right? Like anything else, we can trim space characters and all of those things. We can try all of those. But would they actually work? Would they not? We can try different way of escaping it maybe, but that's maybe a bit tricky. What we haven't tried is, what happens if we add things like control characters there? And that is something that I could actually add a control character over here and escape something like, /r, /n, something like that. And that would actually escape the whole, two lowercase and index of, and everything will be just fine. Let me show you what I mean by that. If I just do not here, over here, I just started off with /x910, which is a control character. And if I try that one, the whole thing falls apart. Reload it again. There we go. So as we're learning, doing one thing and the other, these are all trying to mitigate the problem, but there are still some issues that we should figure out how to do it. So learning how to do things right is important. Now let me go into something else. Let's say that I actually want to, let's avoid this whole thing for a second. So I can try another example. Let's say that I actually want, Libby actually wants to go ahead and do this whole package JSON view And well, she's not gonna go, and I mean, I'm not gonna go and write a parser that I indent stuff and highlights. And this is, you could actually have themes and like pretty cool colors, right? So I'm not gonna build all of this. I'm gonna go outside and find something where I can give it a JSON file, like the package manifest for your npm package. We'll go ahead and do this whole really cool highlight syntaxing, because I'm also not really a CSS person. So this whole thing is not for me. I'm gonna go over to something like the Sneak Advisor, and I'll look for some packages. Already found something that's called React JSON Pretty. It's unfortunately, it looks like inactive. It's unmaintained or something, but it has something like 40K downloads, which is a lot. So maybe I'll try and use it. You could try and check if this is popular by version or not. So hopefully, hopefully everyone are on the latest version, which they are. So that's a good thing from security-wise. If there's like this was vulnerable, you knew what to upgrade to. It also looks like this is mostly used as a direct package, which makes sense as opposed to like an indirect package. So I'll go ahead and use it. The most popular version indeed has no security fixes. Let's see what's going on. I'm gonna go and use this. So I'm gonna go into package profile. Yeah, where is it? It has package parser, I'm pretty sure. There we go. So I've imported this as package parser, and I've provided it the package manifest, which is basically all of this JSON from the database file that I have here. Let's play around with this one here. So it's a simple component, just like some configuration and themes applied by default. That's it. And I can go ahead and what I want to show you is like, let's try and do XSS from other places. Let's say that name is not now Gibson Explorer. Let's go back here, right? Not Gibson Explorer anymore. That's going to be again that thing that we saw. Well, let's do, I don't know, let's do, I mean, JavaScript alert will not work there. That's not a link. So I can try this vector instead, like alert. Let's see what happens. And changed it, but I mean, no alert. I don't even see any image tag, so that's okay. Let's try something else. What I would say is, I don't remember what was here, so I'll just do ABC. But let's say this, if I were thinking how to exploit this, I would say, if this package was written by someone, maybe they didn't take a good care enough of sanitizing the data or output encoding it by going into all of the recursive elements that actually are within the JSON. So all of the elements that are kind of like living inside other fields and other fields. So what if I try to put it here? Like maybe this is this level on the JSON is sanitized, but this one is not, or output encoded would be the best way of doing this. But looks like it is. So like that looks okay. So there we go. Okay, getting back to normal. Now it looks like this is working, and if this is a JSON input from an from an npm package that you get as well, that is not controlled by you. That is controlled by someone else, right? So what if that person gives you a bad package JSON, right? Like I'm gonna go and do something like this and say, hey, you're getting this package JSON. There you go. So package manifest. There you go. No, it's not a JSON anymore. Now it's a string. It's a string which I control, because I can define whatever I want in my package JSON, and just a tar file, and I'll send it to you, right? So if this is the input now, let's see what happens. Change the whole meaning of what the package JSON is. But the question is the application ready to handle something like that? Doesn't look like it, because it looks like it tries to render it. You should probably have put an alert box somewhere there. On our alert probably should have worked. Oh, there we go. So now we see that what's happening, right? So now you're using a component, an open source library that may have vulnerabilities in it, even though you were thinking it might be okay, probably, well, not probably, it's not, but you have to like test all of those things. So this kind of like brings us into the world of managing components, learning about all of those things. So here are my takeaways. Let's go back to slides. Yes, there we go. So takeaways for us, right? This is, avoid all of this, dangerously inner HTML. Obviously, you do not want to do this, but the fact that you're avoiding it doesn't mean that others are avoiding it as well, like we've seen here. So You should really scan your third-party dependencies. If you're doing something like npm audit, that's fine. It's a great way to get awareness for security vulnerabilities. But in my case, I found out when I was using React.json pretty in my demo here is that it did not find it. When I was doing npm install, npm audit, nothing was showing up for it. Luckily I was using a sneak test and I was able to find it. So, be aware of what you're putting into this. If I have to summarize, right? Be aware of what you're putting into your, I would say dependencies in general, libraries collection or your applications, components. Be aware of what you're putting there, be able to scan it all the time and fix it. And the other thing is, of course, be careful of what you put into those href HTML attributes, because they are not getting output encoded by default. So thank you, React, as I would say, react responsibly and securely. And if you want to reach out, I'm Liran Tal. Thank you and have a nice time.